Ethan stood outside his parents' house, his hands shaking slightly as he held a folder of documents. Inside the folder was everything he had worked on for the past 2 years. His full startup plan, market research, prototype sketches, and the financial forecast he had spent endless nights creating. He was nervous, but confident. For the first time in a long while, he felt proud of something he built on his own. He took a deep breath before knocking on the door. Inside, he heard laughter. His parents were talking loudly, excited about something. Ethan hoped, just hoped, it was a good sign. Maybe they were in a supportive mood today. Maybe this time, they would finally see his vision. The door opened, and his mother smiled at him. "Ethan, we didn't know you were coming today." He stepped inside, noticing immediately that the atmosphere felt warm and cheerful, unlike the heavy, judgment-filled air he usually felt in this house. His father was sitting on the couch, looking through some documents of his own. There was a shine in his eyes, something Ethan rarely saw. But as he walked closer, the smile on his father's face disappeared. "What's all this?" his father asked, pointing to the folder in Ethan's hand. Ethan swallowed. "My startup plan. I'm ready to show you everything. I think you'll really like it this time. I'm asking for a loan of $70,000 to launch." The room went quiet. Too quiet. His mother exchanged a look with his father, and suddenly the cheerful mood from moments earlier vanished. Ethan felt the shift instantly. He knew this tone. He knew this silence. He had grown up with it. His father leaned back on the couch. "Ethan, we've talked about this. You've had ideas before. None of them worked." "This one is different," Ethan said quickly. "I've done market testing. I have a small online community ready to buy the first version. And—" His father raised a hand. "It's still too risky." Ethan's mouth went dry. "You haven't even looked at it." His mother stepped forward, her voice soft but dismissive. "Honey, we love that you're trying, but $70,000 is a lot of money. What if it fails? What if you never pay it back?" Ethan felt a sting in his chest. "I'm not asking for a gift. Just a loan. I'll pay with interest." His father shook his head as if the discussion was already over. "We're not putting our money into risky dreams." The words hit harder than Ethan expected. Risky dreams. That's what his father always called Ethan's ideas. As if Ethan's entire existence was one big mistake. But before Ethan could respond, he noticed something else, something sitting on the table right in front of them. A document with large numbers printed on it. And right there, on the top page, he saw the amount. $725,000. He froze. "Wait, what's this?" he whispered, pointing at the paper. His mother stepped quickly toward the table, trying to cover the documents. "Oh, nothing you need to worry about." Ethan felt a cold wave spread through his body. Did you give someone $725,000? His father sighed heavily, as if this was now going somewhere inconvenient. "It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" Ethan asked, his voice shaking. "I'm your son. You won't help me with $70,000 for something I've built from scratch. But you're giving someone else $700,000? Who?" His mother opened her mouth, but looked away. His father avoided eye contact. And suddenly Ethan knew. "Is it for Ryan?" he whispered. Ryan. Ethan's older brother. The golden child. The successful one. The one who could never do wrong. The one his parents compared him to since he was a kid. His mother finally spoke. He found a property deal. A very nice investment. Something safe. Something with guaranteed returns. Ethan felt like someone had punched him. "Safe," he said quietly. "So you trust him with $750,000, but you won't trust me with $70,000? His father's voice grew firm. "Ryan has proven himself. You haven't." Ethan stared at them both, the words echoing inside his head. Proven himself? His brother hadn't built anything. Ryan had simply asked, and received. Ethan had spent 2 years building a plan. And still, he was treated like a child chasing fantasies. Something inside him snapped, not in anger, but in revelation. He finally understood. They had never believed in him. Not once. Not ever. Ethan slowly closed the folder and stepped back. "Okay," he said quietly. I understand. His mother frowned. Ethan, don't be upset. But Ethan wasn't upset anymore. He was awake. He turned and walked out of the house without another word. As he stepped outside, the cold air hit his face. His hands trembled, but not from fear. It was something else, something sharper, stronger. Determination. Because in that moment, Ethan made a silent promise to himself. He would build his startup. He would succeed without them. And one day, they would see exactly what they threw away. But he didn't know yet that his parents' decision wouldn't just push him forward. It would ignite a chain of events much bigger, much darker, and far more explosive than any of them imagined. This was just the beginning. Ethan walked back to his small apartment with a stiff, silent anger growing inside him. It wasn't the loud kind of anger that explodes. It was quiet, cold, and sharp. The kind that stays. The kind that pushes someone further than they ever imagined. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat at his desk, staring at the business plan he had shown his parents only hours before. Every page reminded him of their words. Too risky. Not proven. Dreams don't pay the bills. His father's voice repeated again and again in his mind, like a hammer hitting metal until it left dents everywhere. But then he remembered the bold number on the paper lying on their table. $725,000. They had given that to Ryan without a second thought. No presentations. No proof. No building anything. Just because he asked. Ethan looked at his reflection in the dark computer screen. His eyes were tired, but something burned behind them, something new. He whispered to himself, if they won't help me, I'll help myself. The next morning, Ethan went straight to work at the small tech repair shop where he spent most of his days fixing broken phones and cracked laptops. It wasn't his dream job, but it paid the rent. Barely. His boss, Mr. Collins, an old man with glasses always sliding down his nose, noticed Ethan looking pale and exhausted. You look like you fought a bear last night, Collins said, trying to joke. Ethan gave a weak smile. Family stuff. Collins grunted. That explains it. Nothing beats you down faster than family. Ethan almost laughed at how accurate that felt. During lunch break, Ethan stepped outside behind the shop and ate a cheap sandwich while scrolling through startup forums and investment communities. Every second post was about people raising money, finding partners, or finding angels willing to fund bold ideas. He didn't need someone to believe in him emotionally. He just needed someone to believe in the numbers. For the first time since leaving his parents' house, he felt a spark of hope. But that spark didn't last long. As he returned inside the shop, Collins approached him with a concerned expression. You should probably check the news, kid. Ethan frowned. Why? Collins handed him his phone. Because your brother is everywhere. Confused, Ethan opened the trending article Collins had already pulled up. Local investor makes massive purchase, $1.4 million luxury property deal with Ryan Carter leads the headlines. Ethan's stomach dropped. Wait, $1.4 million? He quickly scrolled down and read the article. According to the news, Ryan had purchased a massive property, twice the value Ethan saw in his parents' documents. He had used the $725,000 from their parents as the down payment, and secured the rest through bank financing. He didn't even tell Ethan. He didn't tell anyone. Ryan was being praised as a rising star in investment circles. Articles described him as a smart risk-taker, a young visionary, and a leader with an eye for opportunity. Ethan's hands curled into fists. Ryan's success wasn't built on intelligence or vision. It was built on their parents' blind trust, the same trust Ethan had never received in his entire life. He closed the article, unable to read the rest. That evening, as Ethan returned home, he found a voicemail from his mother waiting for him. Ethan, she said in her soft voice, please don't take yesterday personally. We made the best decision we could. We think Ryan's investment is safer. We just want what's best for the family. Ethan stared at the wall, silent. He played the message again. We just want what's best for the family. He exhaled slowly. So I'm not part of the family, he whispered. That question stayed with him into the night. Over the next few days, something in Ethan changed. He stopped seeking approval. He stopped waiting for validation. Instead, he focused on one thing, building. He worked long shifts at the repair shop, then stayed up late coding the prototype for his app. It wasn't perfect, but every day it grew, improved, and took shape. Every line of code felt like a small victory over the doubt his parents had planted in him for years. One night, while working past midnight, he got an unexpected message on his computer. A notification from a startup forum. Your post got featured, looking for feedback on early-stage tech idea. He clicked it. Somehow, his small discussion post had gone viral overnight. Dozens of people were commenting with advice, encouragement, and honest interest. Then came the message that changed everything. Hey Ethan, your idea looks promising. I'm an angel investor. Mind showing me your business plan? Marcus Hale. Ethan froze. Marcus Hale, a well-known investor in early-stage tech. A real angel investor. A millionaire. He typed quickly but carefully. Of course. I can send it right away. Marcus responded within seconds. Let's set up a call tomorrow. I want to understand your vision. Ethan stared at the screen, breathless. This was the moment. This was the break his parents thought he didn't deserve. He couldn't help but laugh quietly, the sound a mix of disbelief and relief. His parents had put their faith in Ryan. But a total stranger had chosen to put faith in him. And yet Ethan didn't know. This new investor had a connection to his family. A connection Ethan had no idea existed. A connection that would turn everything upside down. And lead him toward a revenge he never saw coming. The next morning, Ethan couldn't focus on anything except the upcoming call with Marcus Hale. His hands shook slightly as he set up his laptop, triple-checking that the business plan was attached, his notes were ready, and his prototype demo worked perfectly. Every detail mattered. This was his chance to prove that he didn't need his parents, that he could succeed on his own. When the video call finally connected, Marcus appeared on the screen, a tall man with silver hair, sharp eyes, and a calm, confident demeanor. Ethan Carter? Marcus asked. His voice was calm, yet commanding. Yes, sir. That's me, Ethan said, trying to keep his voice steady. Marcus smiled faintly. I've read your plan. I have to say, I'm impressed. Most young entrepreneurs your age haven't done half of what you've done. Tell me, what made you start this? Ethan paused. He thought about his parents, about Ryan, about the $725,000 they gave him. He thought about years of rejection and doubt. Then he spoke. My parents never believed in me, he said honestly. I've always had ideas, always worked hard, and they called everything too risky. I asked them for $70,000 for this startup, and they refused. But they gave $725,000 to my brother, Ryan, for a property deal. I needed someone to believe in me. Marcus nodded slowly. I see. You have a fire in you, Ethan. That kind of passion is rare. Ethan hesitated. Sir, why are you interested? Most investors wouldn't touch a young entrepreneur without family backing. Marcus's eyes flickered. For a moment, he looked almost sad. Then he leaned closer to the camera. Ethan, I know your family. Ethan froze. His heart skipped a beat. You know my family? Marcus nodded. Yes, more than you think. Ryan, your brother, your parents, they've made a lot of decisions that seem smart, but some of them are dangerous. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. Dangerous. Marcus leaned back, a serious expression on his face. I can't explain everything over a call. But I will tell you this. The same people who gave Ryan $725,000, they are walking into a situation that could ruin them. And if you handle your startup wisely, you could come out on top, far above them. Ethan's mind raced. Was Marcus threatening his family? Or warning him? Marcus continued. Ethan, I want to invest in you. Not just money, but guidance. I can connect you to clients, manufacturers, marketing teams, everything. But you have to be ready to move fast. And you have to decide whether you want to play it safe, or take the path that could give you the edge over your brother and parents. Ethan's pulse quickened. The anger he had felt since that day at home was now mixed with curiosity, excitement, and a hint of fear. This wasn't just about building a startup anymore. This was about revenge. About proving that he was capable. about showing his family that their decision to ignore him had been a huge mistake. I'm ready, Ethan said, his voice firm. Marcus smiled. Good. Send me everything tonight, and we'll schedule a meeting with potential partners tomorrow. One more thing, Ethan. Keep your parents out of this for now. They have no idea what's coming. The call ended, leaving Ethan staring at the blank screen for several minutes. He leaned back in his chair and let out a long breath. This was bigger than he had imagined. Bigger than any of his plans. He wasn't just building a business. He was stepping into a game his family didn't even know existed. Over the next few days, Ethan worked harder than ever. He refined his prototype, polished his business plan, and prepared presentations for Marcus. He slept less than 4 hours a night, fueled by coffee, adrenaline, and his growing obsession with outshining Ryan. Every small success, an email from a potential partner, a positive comment on his product demo, felt like a victory over the family that had doubted him. Then came the first meeting with Marcus and a group of investors. Ethan walked into a sleek office building downtown, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. Marcus greeted him warmly and introduced him to a small group of investors, all well known in the tech industry. You're the young man who built this all on his own? One of them asked. Ethan nodded. Yes, sir. Everything from the idea to the prototype was my work. The investors exchanged impressed glances. Marcus leaned closer and whispered, Watch closely, Ethan. This is your chance. The meeting went better than Ethan could have imagined. Investors were impressed, asked questions, gave advice, and even suggested increasing the initial launch budget. By the end, Marcus turned to him with a sly smile. Ethan, I think we have everything we need to start. You're going to shock a lot of people, including your family. Ethan smiled quietly. He didn't need to tell Marcus who they were. The fire inside him had already decided. Meanwhile, back at the Carter house, Ryan bragged to his parents about his property deal. It's going to triple in value, he said confidently. I can't wait to see the headlines. Ethan's parents smiled, proud and oblivious. They still didn't understand that the same energy, the same ideas, the same determination they ignored in Ethan, was now being nurtured and invested in by someone much bigger than them. And Ethan was about to make sure they never forgot that day he walked out, refused, and chose to fight on his own. The tension was rising. The pieces were moving on a board that only Ethan could see. And soon, the family who thought they had control would realize that the real game had already begun. Ethan woke early the next morning, his mind buzzing with ideas and strategies. The adrenaline from the investor meeting still pulsed through him. Marcus Hale's backing wasn't just a ticket to success, it was a weapon. And Ethan now realized he could use it to get more than just financial freedom. He could make his parents and Ryan regret ignoring him. He spent hours mapping out his startup's launch strategy. Every detail mattered: marketing, outreach, production, branding. But amidst all the planning, one thought kept gnawing at him. His family had put faith in Ryan instead of him. And that mistake would be exposed. By noon, Ethan had drafted the first campaign email for potential clients. Marcus reviewed it and made minor suggestions, praising Ethan's instinct. You're sharp, Marcus said. Just remember, the right timing can hit harder than any marketing strategy. Wait for the perfect moment. Ethan nodded, understanding more than Marcus realized. Timing was everything, not just for his business, but for the eventual revenge. Meanwhile, Ryan was busy celebrating his property deal. He didn't know that Ethan was quietly building something far bigger. At family dinners, Ryan would brag about his success and how responsible he was for managing such a large sum. He didn't see Ethan's quiet confidence as a threat. In his mind, Ethan was still the kid who couldn't make a decision without approval. Ethan, however, had changed. He was no longer a boy waiting for approval. He was a man who knew he could win without their permission. The first sign of the storm came 1 week later. Marcus arranged a private call. Ethan, he said, voice low and serious. I've reviewed Ryan's property deal. It's riskier than he thinks. There are hidden clauses in the agreement. If the market shifts slightly, he could lose a significant portion of the $725,000 your parents gave him. Ethan's heart raced. He had suspected as much. Ryan had no experience managing such investments. He relied solely on trust and charm. So, it could fail? Ethan asked carefully, keeping his tone neutral. Marcus nodded. Exactly. And if it does, you could position your startup to look far more stable in comparison. But you must act carefully. No mistakes. No leaks. Ethan smiled faintly, a plan forming in his mind. The next few days were a blur of activity. Ethan worked late into the night, crafting emails, refining his website, and preparing for a soft launch. Marcus connected him to a network of small businesses eager to try new tech solutions. Ethan's app was simple, useful, and innovative, everything Ryan's property deal was not. By the 5th day, Ethan's app had already gained hundreds of sign-ups. Positive reviews started pouring in. News about his launch spread quietly, but strategically, in forums and social media groups frequented by tech enthusiasts. And then came the email. It was from a popular business news website. The subject line read, "Rising Star in Tech, Young Entrepreneur Challenges Traditional Investments." Ethan clicked it. The article praised his startup, highlighting how he had built it from scratch without family funding, and subtly contrasted his ingenuity with traditional investment risks, like those Ryan had taken. Ethan's pulse quickened. This was the leverage he needed. Later that evening, Ethan received a text from Ryan. "Hey man. Saw the article. Nice work. Maybe next time ask for some help before you go rogue. LOL." Ethan stared at the message. A small laugh escaped him, but it was bitter. Ryan still didn't understand. Ethan wasn't asking for help anymore. He didn't need it. Instead, Ethan sent a careful, polite reply. "Thanks. I'm learning fast. Hope your property does well too." He didn't add the part about how unstable the deal really was. Not yet. That would come later. Timing was key. By the weekend, Ethan had received his first significant investment offer, triple the amount his parents had refused him. Marcus had warned him not to reveal anything to the family until everything was secured. Ethan felt a surge of satisfaction. He had taken what his parents denied him, and now, silently, he was surpassing Ryan in every way. But the real thrill came when he imagined their faces once the truth came out. The pride they had felt for Ryan, the confidence in their safe choice, they would soon discover that Ethan, the ignored son, had quietly built something far more valuable. And while his parents slept, unaware, Ethan smiled to himself, a spark of revenge in his eyes. He whispered quietly, almost to no one. "You ignored me. You gave him everything I deserved. Watch closely. This is just the beginning." The pieces were now in motion. Ryan had no idea the storm was coming. The parents had no clue their safe investment was fragile. And Ethan was ready to show them that sometimes, the quietest victories are the deadliest. Ethan woke early that Monday, his mind sharp and focused. Over the past weeks, his startup had quietly gained traction. Hundreds of new users, glowing reviews, and investor interest had all begun to pile up. But Ethan wasn't satisfied with just success. He wanted a statement. A way to make his parents and Ryan understand the full weight of their mistake. Marcus had warned him. Patience is the key. Don't rush. Your family will underestimate you until it's too late. Ethan nodded silently. He already knew that patience had become his strongest weapon. That afternoon, Ethan visited the downtown office of a small media outlet Marcus had suggested. A reporter had agreed to cover the rise of his startup in a feature article. Ethan knew the angle. The story wouldn't just praise his tech innovation, it would contrast him with his family's investments. He wanted the readers to see the irony of the situation. The son they ignored was thriving, while their golden child could be walking into disaster. During the interview, the reporter asked, "How did you manage to secure investment so quickly?" Ethan smiled, keeping his voice calm and composed. "I had a vision and believed in it, even when others didn't. Some people think security and comfort are the keys to success, but risk is part of innovation. You need courage to pursue your dreams." The reporter nodded, taking notes. Ethan could almost hear the story writing itself. Bold, confident, unstoppable. Meanwhile, Ryan had started boasting again. At a small family dinner, he leaned back in his chair, smirking. "I've secured some amazing deals," he said, swirling a glass of wine. "This property? It's going to double in value in just a few months. I don't even have to work that hard for it. It's all smart investment. Dad, Mom, you did right giving me the money." Ethan's parents nodded, smiling proudly. But Ethan, sitting quietly at the corner of the room, felt a surge of determination. He said nothing, keeping his calm, letting the conversation play out. He had a plan, and timing was everything. Later that week, Ethan received an urgent message from Marcus. Check Ryan's property investment documents. There's something your parents didn't see. Ethan pulled up the files and scanned them quickly. Hidden clauses, fluctuating interest rates, and unexpected fees jumped out at him. One clause in particular stood out, a requirement for a major upfront tax payment within the next 3 months. If Ryan didn't pay, the deal could collapse entirely, and the $725,000 from their parents could be partially lost. Ethan's lips curled into a small, calculated smile. He didn't celebrate, not yet. But the pieces were falling into place. He thought back to the day his parents refused him the $70,000. The disappointment, the cold looks, the dismissive words, they were all fuel now. Fuel for a plan that required patience, precision, and timing. The following week, Ethan worked on his startup late into the night. He finalized the software, polished the demo, and prepared a large email campaign targeting potential investors. Every message highlighted his startup's stability, profitability, and growth potential, subtly hinting at how calculated risk can lead to real success. By Friday, the first wave of emails had gone out. Responses came pouring in, excited inquiries, requests for meetings, and even offers for partial investments. His name started trending in local business circles. Marcus was pleased. Ethan, Marcus said during their call, you're playing this perfectly. But the next step is crucial. You need to position yourself to gain public attention, so your parents and Ryan will notice. That's when the impact will be undeniable. Ethan understood immediately. He had to go big. Not just successful, he had to make sure they saw it and realize the mistake they had made. The following Saturday, Ethan quietly prepared a social media announcement. A short video introducing the startup, showing real users, and presenting his unique features. Nothing too flashy, but enough to grab attention. He scheduled it to post during the evening, knowing his parents would likely see it online while relaxing at home. Meanwhile, Ryan was at a golf club, bragging about his property deal to friends. It's going to be worth millions soon. Easy money, he said with a smug smile. Little did Ryan know, the world was about to notice Ethan first. The video went live. Within minutes, notifications began flooding Ethan's phone. Views, shares, comments, all overwhelmingly positive. People praised his innovation, his courage to build without family funding, and his ability to succeed despite being ignored. By the next morning, the video had gone viral in local business circles. Headlines appeared online. Young entrepreneur outsmarts family investment fiasco. Ignored son creates startup that investors can't stop praising. Ethan's parents woke up to multiple notifications. His mother clicked the first link. Her face went pale. His father muttered something under his breath. And Ryan? He froze as he scrolled through the headline, reading the words over and over. For the first time, Ethan saw the shock, confusion, and fear in their eyes. Exactly as he had imagined. And Ethan? He smiled quietly. He didn't need to say a word. The first strike had landed perfectly. The game had begun. Ethan wasn't just building a startup anymore. He was reclaiming respect. He was teaching lessons. And most importantly, he was showing his parents and Ryan that ignoring him had consequences they would never forget. By Monday morning, the Carter house was in chaos. The video Ethan had posted over the weekend had gone viral, and the headlines were unavoidable. His parents sat at the breakfast table in stunned silence, staring at their laptops and phones. Ryan paced back and forth, his usually confident demeanor shattered by the news. How did he do this? Ryan finally burst out. I mean, he didn't even ask for money. None of this makes sense. Ethan's mother clasped her hands together, whispering, I thought we made the right decision. We gave him everything he needed for the property deal. We did what was best. His father shook his head, his face pale. I don't understand. He built all of this from nothing. Without any help from us. How? The words Ethan had heard countless times from his parents. Too risky, not proven, dreams don't pay the bills, now rang hollow. Their golden son, Ryan, the one they had trusted with $725,000, looked suddenly fragile in comparison. Meanwhile, Ethan was nowhere near finished. The startup had gained momentum far faster than he expected. Investors were calling constantly, users were signing up in droves, and small media outlets were requesting interviews. Every update, every positive review, every article amplified the embarrassment for his parents and Ryan. But Ethan didn't gloat. Not yet. He wanted maximum impact. He strategically planned the next move. Marcus Hale had suggested a public demonstration of the startup's success, something impossible to ignore, and Ethan knew exactly how to execute it. Friday afternoon, Ethan hosted a small live demonstration for potential investors and business influencers. The event showcased his app's features, real-time analytics, and user engagement. The audience applauded, impressed by the sleek interface and tangible results. Social media posts spread like wildfire, highlighting Ethan's ingenuity, persistence, and ability to turn rejection into massive success. A live broadcast captured the event. By the next morning, clips of Ethan's presentation were trending across business networks and even local news outlets. The captions didn't hide the irony. Ignored son builds million-dollar startup while family's investment stumbles. Ethan's parents sat in their living room again, this time together, watching the clips. Their faces had lost the usual pride and composure. His mother muttered, I never thought he could do all of this." His father was silent, staring blankly at the screen. He finally said, We underestimated him." Ryan, now pale and tense, slammed his laptop shut. I need to fix this," he said, though he clearly had no plan. Ethan had anticipated this moment. While Ryan and the parents were scrambling, he carefully released another round of updates. Testimonials from users praising the app's reliability and innovation. Reports showing investor interest exceeding $1 million. A small feature comparing the startup's stability to typical property investments. The implied comparison wasn't subtle. Every person who read the updates could see the contrast. Ethan's startup was thriving, while Ryan's property deal was increasingly exposed as risky and unproven. Within hours, messages and comments started reaching the Carter household from friends, relatives, and even business acquaintances. "Wow, Ethan really did it. Ryan? Not so smart, huh? I thought your son was the risky one, turns out he's the genius." The subtle humiliation was unbearable for Ryan. The golden child who had never faced failure now felt exposed, trapped, and powerless. Meanwhile, Ethan watched all of this unfold quietly from his apartment. He had no need to gloat in person. His satisfaction came from seeing the reversal of power. The family who had dismissed him was now scrambling, reacting, and questioning every decision they had ever made about him. That evening, Marcus called. "You've done more than I expected. The family is starting to crack, Ethan. Their confidence in Ryan is faltering. But the next step is crucial. Don't stop now. Make sure they feel the impact fully. The final blow must be undeniable." Ethan nodded, already formulating his next move. The plan was simple. Ensure Ryan's property deal faced its first major setback in public, while Ethan's startup surged ahead with investor confidence. The juxtaposition would create maximum emotional and social impact. At the Carter house, Ryan sat alone in his room, scrolling through the latest posts about Ethan. Panic and anger mixed on his face. This can't be happening. I had the money, the resources, everything," he shouted. But the reality was undeniable. Ethan had achieved more with less money, less trust, less support. Ethan's parents sat downstairs, whispering about whether they should intervene. But they didn't know how. They couldn't change the fact that Ethan's perseverance, skill, and determination had already taken the spotlight. And Ethan? He smiled quietly, knowing the perfect storm had begun. The family's mistakes were now their own undoing. The stage was set. The tension was high. The next moves would decide who truly held power in the Carter family, and Ethan was ready to finish the game. The week after the live demonstration, Ethan's startup had become the talk of the local business scene. Investors, tech enthusiasts, and even national news outlets were praising him as the young entrepreneur who built a business from nothing while defying family expectations. But Ethan wasn't satisfied with just recognition. He wanted the full impact. His parents and Ryan needed to truly feel the consequences of underestimating him. It started quietly. Marcus Hale had tipped Ethan off about an upcoming inspection and audit regarding Ryan's property deal. There were minor discrepancies, clauses the bank required, tax obligations, and some legal paperwork that had been overlooked. If Ryan failed to comply, the deal could be frozen, and part of the $725,000 from their parents could be at risk. Ethan watched carefully. The bank sent notices. Ryan, confident and careless, ignored the first warnings. He assumed everything would work out, as it always had. But the second notice was more serious. Failure to act would trigger penalties. Ethan didn't intervene. He let the natural consequences unfold, while continuing to publicly grow his startup. Every investor update, every media clip, every new user review highlighted his success, making the contrast with Ryan and their parents' safe investment impossible to ignore. That Friday, Ethan received an urgent message from Marcus. Now, the moment has arrived. Ryan's property deal is about to face its first major setback. Make your move. Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of calm and satisfaction. He didn't need to shout. He didn't need to gloat. Everything would speak for itself. He prepared a social media post summarizing his startup's latest achievements, user growth, revenue projections, and investor confidence. The post subtly referenced the importance of strategic risk versus blind trust, which would inevitably be seen by anyone following Ryan's deal. He scheduled it to go live that evening, right around the time Ryan's family would be checking for updates. Meanwhile, at the Carter house, Ryan received a call from the bank. "Mr. Carter," the representative said, voice formal, "we've noticed discrepancies in your property documents. If these aren't corrected immediately, the deal could be delayed or partially voided. There may also be financial penalties." Ryan's confident smirk vanished. What? That's impossible," he stammered. His parents, hearing the conversation, rushed in. Panic filled the room. "Ethan, we should have helped him more," his mother whispered. His father looked helpless. We thought it was safe. We thought we made the right decision." At the exact same moment, Ethan's post went live. Notifications poured in from investors, media outlets, and social media users. The post quickly trended, emphasizing the startup's growth and reliability, while highlighting how risk could lead to remarkable success when managed wisely. Within hours, the contrast was undeniable. Ethan's venture was soaring, while Ryan's $725,000 property deal faced delays, potential financial loss, and mounting scrutiny. The family couldn't ignore it. Friends, relatives, and neighbors began commenting. "Wow, Ethan really proved everyone wrong. Ryan's deal is already facing issues? Maybe the parents chose poorly. This is why trusting the right person matters, not just the golden child." The shame hit Ryan hard. Every boast, every claim of superiority, every moment of pride evaporated in front of the world. Later that evening, Ethan finally called his parents. His voice was calm but carried a quiet authority. "Mom, Dad, do you understand now?" he asked softly. There was silence on the other end. "You ignored me," Ethan continued. "You said my ideas were risky, that I wasn't proven. But I built everything on my own. And now, while Ryan's deal is faltering, my startup is thriving. This is what your choices created." His mother's voice trembled. "Ethan, we didn't know it would turn out like this." His father said nothing. He could feel the truth, the consequences, and the lesson too late. Ethan paused, then said, quietly but firmly, "I don't need your money. I didn't need it then. I needed belief, and since I didn't get it, I believed in myself. That's why I won." And just like that, Ethan hung up. The next few weeks saw the public fallout of Ryan's failing property deal. Investors withdrew, deadlines were missed, and the media subtly contrasted his struggles with Ethan's rising success. The $725,000 their parents had trusted to Ryan was now at serious risk, and the shame of their misjudgment became impossible to hide. Ethan, meanwhile, continued growing his startup. Funding increased, users multiplied, and Marcus Hale's network expanded his opportunities even further. But Ethan didn't celebrate in the traditional sense. His victory was quiet, precise, and fully deserved. He had outsmarted, outworked, and outlasted his family's bias. He had transformed rejection into fuel. He had turned doubt into action. And most importantly, He had shown them the true meaning of respect and consequences. In the Carter household, lessons were learned the hard way. Ryan, humbled and shaken, understood the limits of charm and trust. Their parents realized the cost of dismissing talent and favoring comfort over vision. And Ethan? He finally smiled, a quiet, satisfied smile. He didn't need apologies. He didn't need validation. He had achieved everything on his own terms. The final truth was clear. Never underestimate the person you ignore. Never deny someone their chance. And never mistake caution for wisdom. Ethan had the last laugh, the ultimate victory, and the sweetest revenge. White heavy check mark the end.